Welcome out to the podcast today. Please don't watch this podcast. What podcast are we doing? Please don't watch this podcast.
Episode 33, right?
Yeah, 33.
That's long. That's many podcasts.
That's well.
For
if
us.
you, so yeah, if so today's challenge for you all today is to add up all the hours and minutes and get it down to the seconds. How many seconds, if you put every single podcast together, have we done podcasts for since 1 through 33 today? That's your challenge.
It's more than 100. Or no, that's too high, I think, actually. But
100 seconds?
No.
I said to the seconds.
Yeah, but I'm saying I'm giving you a range. Yeah, let's start over. I like this intro.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know we had gotten to that point. Okay, Troy.
All right. So that's Carl there. That's Carl 101. I'm your other host, SpeedSlasher, the other guy. And today is July, fresh old July.
Well, it'll be like July 3rd or actually be what? Like July 6th when this goes. It's July 1st today that we're recording this. So just to kind of get the clarification there. But yeah, we got lots of stuff. As an ambulance goes by in the background, we got lots of stuff to talk about today. We got some news. We got some stuff about what's going on in our lives and stuff. And we got today's topic, which is
video games that you should suggest to someone who hasn't played video games before.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a really good podcast. But we're gonna get it off. I feel like I always start this off first, but today Speed's gonna start us off. What's been going on in your life, Speed?
Mostly drawing. Like, so I drew things like D&D characters for Tom and TFP in our group. I drew some assets that I'm going to use for a project I'll talk later about. And, I mean, I've been getting a little more used to using other programs. Last time we talked about Krita. Now I've been using a little more Krita, so, I mean, I've been enjoying it. Besides that, we haven't really been playing much in the group. Normally recently we were doing like American Truck Simulator. This time we haven't really been. We've been doing our own thing.
Yeah, we kind of have been. Well, I've been super busy too, so I haven't really been able to kind of like play stuff with you guys, and everybody kind of just seems like they're in their own world right now, which, you know, in video gaming, which we'll talk about probably later when we talk about video games suggest to people. It'll probably make more sense on why we sometimes go back and forth between, you know, like playing stuff together versus just playing and doing our own thing. So, but yeah, anything else that's going on?
Nothing much really, honestly.
Nothing much really, honestly. So
yeah.
All right. I have been superbly busy. So we discussed last week that I did in fact get to the 1,000 follower mark on my Twitch channel, and as soon as that happened, I put together a whole thing. As well as I have made quite a bit of music to play at this concert that has already transpired by the time you're watching.
You said 36?
I'm looking at probably 30 songs, give or take. I don't know if it'll... Here's the thing about that, is that it probably won't be that, just because, like, that's what... For 2 hours of music, so that's 120. So it's 120 divided by 30. Which is 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 4 minutes. Yeah, about 4 minutes a song, if you think about it.
Oh, perfect. You could do 4:33.
No, I can't, because that's over the average. And then you got to take breaks between the movements. Yes, there are movements in the 4:33, by the way. So you have to take a break between the movements, all right? It's 3 movement piece. So it's actually more of like 5 minutes, give or take, probably. But
so it's a lie.
Well, yes
really,
and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. But yeah, I've definitely been... I have so many resources in a given day to work on stuff. And I wanted to double down and work on Project Chase and finish Project Chase this week, but it started to just become reality of like, I don't have time to do any of that. So this week was basically dedicated to this stream on Saturday. So hopefully everybody ends up enjoying it. It's going to be a very different kind of stream I'm going to be doing. It's going to be like super check it outs, but only one day of the year, and not stealing off of Speed here. So that'll be something.
Well, you're not going to dress in a suit, are you?
No, God no. I hate dressing up.
Especially for 15 hours.
Yeah, no.
Ooh, no thanks.
No, that's yeah. No, I can barely do a suit for like 2 hours before I'm just like, get this thing off of me. Get it off of me. I want it off now.
I always think of The Room where they play football in suits. Insert scene here. There we go. Okay, now Carl gets it.
Who play? Who plays?
Tommy Wiseau. End
Oh,
of question.
I still gotta watch the movie. Still haven't watched it. Community night movie.
Hey, there we go. It's not like it's inappropriate.
Nah, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay, sure. Says the guy who hasn't watched it.
But yeah. So other things that have been going on the Patreon channel, we've upgraded the weekly Kea picture to the weekly Kea video
To FMV.
It's not an FMV.
It's a full motion video.
So if you need some incentive to go onto my Patreon and become a subscriber on there, you'll get a weekly Kea video. I mean, as well, the other perks are you do get music off the podcast, or not podcast, music boxes. Ooh, man, almost made a mistake there. That could have been awful.
Here's the music from the podcast.
Make an album.
Oh man, wait, hold on. Could you send me like a video from the Patreon, but then I will compress it and make it look really like crappy, and then be like, you want to see the actual video? Go watch the Patreon.
I don't know, man, because you're not subscribed to the Patreon, so like, I mean, that's not being fair to my patrons, or patron, I should say.
Okay,
It's not being fair to Tom.
that's rare.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much all that's been happening and going on in the life of Carl 101. Oh yeah, and boy, let me tell you about streaming really quick, because there has been some hot moments going on in streaming right now. Let me tell you, everybody is getting in on this Pokemon Nuzlocke randomizer that I am doing right now. Everybody is invested. Everybody is the concerns every single day now. It is great. I love it. It's exactly what I want on the channel right now. So make sure to go check out me doing Soul Silver Pokemon Nuzlocke randomizer, which is very difficult.
Could we pour one
to
out?
say. That maybe at the end we could.
I'll hydrate right now.
I got a beer in the fridge. It's a little early though, but
It is pretty early. We're doing this at like noon. Day drinking is very bad.
it's 2 hours earlier for you, so I mean it'd be really, and it's a Friday, so like it's awkward to I'd think it'd be awkward to drink this early in the morning on a Friday.
TGIF.
So, but yeah, I think that's about everything that's really been going on in my life right now. Just busy stuff, and I think that's everything for Speed 2. So
yeah.
But
Let's move on.
Oh yeah.
To the news.
The news.
Do you want to do you want to do the quick fire thing again, and then we go into it?
Yeah, so let's we got what, 3 topics to go on about here?
Just
It
about.
looks like-
I have some other little thing here.
Oh yeah,
but-
if you should put them in the news channel so I can see them too.
But you know it, so it's fine.
All right, so I'm gonna, instead of going at this one at a time and being like ridiculous about it like we did 2 weeks ago, or no, it would be a month ago because we do these every other week now. I'm gonna just go through them as soon or as quick as possible. So ready?
Boom.
Here we go. All right, first thing on the list, and this is in no particular order, is Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak was actually just released yesterday of this podcast, which is cool. I'm super excited to play that. Speed still got to play original Monster Hunter
Rise.
Rise.
I don't even own Rise.
Yeah. So, next up is Near Automata, which I'm probably saying that wrong, and I'm probably gonna get flacked for by a whole bunch of people for that. I
won't help you.
Go for it.
I said I won't help you.
Oh, you won't? Oh, okay.
I won't help you on how to pronounce it. I'll say you won't get flacked for how you pronounce it there. But keep going.
All right. Moving on, we had a new surreal puzzle game, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which I don't remember much of because there's just too many games out there. But
they're made by Sayonara Wild Hearts. TP is into it.
All right, fair enough. The very out of nowhere Super Bomberman R2 has shown up, which I didn't hate the game, and I actually did enjoy the game playing it, but like this was something I was like, all right, that's all right, sure. I'll play it. I'll buy it. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, which I know nothing about Mega Man. I'm not sure if that's something that everybody wants or nobody wanted.
Oh, I've heard, you know, it was interesting. Pixel was like, I don't know if I'm the only one who's interested, but there's a lot of people who are interested. Like, it's not a thing where I only know one person. I know a couple people. So.
Yeah, because if I recall, there's like quite a few Mega Man like collections out there, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
not of that series, so that's why it's cool.
Mm-hmm. We had Pac-Man World Repack, which I don't remember. Is that?
I'm
What?
just thinking
What
about
is so
how
funny?
Pac-Man is now a divorced man. Because there are legalities regarding Miss Pac-Man.
Oh yeah, that's
so
true.
They replaced her with, I think they named the character like Mama Pac-Man now or something. That's what I'm giggling. It's because you know 2 podcasts ago it was Ken. Now it's Pac-Man, who's divorced.
All right. We got Blanc, a monochrome rendered puzzle game, which I've always, when it comes to like black and white stuff, I'm like not the biggest fan of myself. Not to say that this is going to be a great game though, but like I don't know. There's something about just looking at it. For me, it's just hard to appreciate black and white these days.
No, I quite like it. I mean, it's a game that you can definitely enjoy if you're also visually impaired. So it's like, well, you're getting the same experience everyone else is.
Yeah, that's true. Return to Monkey Island got a full trailer now, which looks fantastic. I'm very excited for that. And then moving on, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Did that actually get a release date? Oh yeah, October 20th this year. Super excited for that. That's definitely giving me Fire Emblem Three Hopes, or I'm sorry, Three Houses. Three Houses.
It's
vibes.
not even a Muso.
Stop.
By the way, did you preface you're talking about the direct here? The mini
Yes.
direct?
Oh no, I guess
Okay.
wasn't that. So we're talking about the Nintendo Direct that just came out. So
And that's why he's like going.
yeah. So we also got a game called Railgrade, which actually looked kind of interesting. Something to do with trains and stuff. So I like trains every now and then. So this game kind of got me interested for sure to play it. Let's see. Sonic Frontiers got what looks to be another. Was that actually another trailer like that?
Yeah,
was updated and
they
stuff?
showed more. They revealed like a character and stuff, and it seems like it did way better than whatever trailer I sent you originally.
Yeah.
I think that's the unfortunate thing. It seems like if anything's true, not like, oh, I don't like how it looks or blah blah blah. It's more like I don't know why Sega is promoting this game this fashion, because Nintendo did a pretty good job showing and getting people excited for it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Sega has their moments. Like they go from just being like, "Yeah, Sega, way to go," and then they're like, try again, Sega."
It's like Nintendo, so that's why they're balanced.
Yeah. So. Disney Dreamlight, which looked kind of like one of those Xbox One Disney games, like the Pixar
Like the
one.
Kinect one or
Yeah,
something?
the Kinect one, the Disneyland Adventures, and the other the Pixar dedicated one, which I don't remember its name, which I feel like is a Project something, but I don't think that's right. But actually looked kind of mildly interesting. If it was on the cheaper side, I'd maybe kind of pick that up. And then what else we got? Some of these games I like. There were so many games that were for a mini direct. I gotta say, there was a lot of games that were just kind of like thrown out there.
Well, it's third party, so they're like, whoosh, here we go. And a lot of people have third party stuff.
Yeah. Live
They
a
are
Live.
third party.
Live a Live, which is a Square Enix game that was supposed to be in the Super Nintendo era of RPGs, so that'll probably be rather interesting if I ever get around to playing it, because there are
it's renowned. So
way too many RPGs.
its release is just interesting because it's like, oh, they're going to get this ported. That's cool.
Yeah. I'll let you take this one. Doraemon Story of Seasons, ready to go.
It's apparently the second one and it has 2-player. But I don't really know much about Doraemon besides, hey, imagine if Fairly Odd Parents didn't have rules. I mean, the thing with Doraemon is it's been around for a while. I discovered this because I thought it was old. I didn't realize it was that old. 1969 was when Doraemon was made. So
Really?
it has its fans. I just know I haven't really dipped my toes in it, so I don't think it quite appeals to me. I mean, I think the main important thing about a farming sim is, the setting.
So my question, I guess, then spinning back the clock, and I'm not sure you would probably just know the answer off the top of your head, because thinking about that now, if that's from 1969, like when was anime really just like first a thing?
A lot of people point to Astro Boy, which I think is like 1940. I could look it up, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Astro Boy is at least considered one of the most popular first ones.
Okay. While he's looking that up, Minecraft Legends will be on Nintendo Switch, which is new. There's a lot of different like Minecraft spin-offs now.
Yeah, it's new.
Okay, so that is a brand new game then. So, which is probably in the same kind of setting as the other spin-off Minecraft games, where it's kind of more story-based. There's more of like goals and stuff instead of it just being, this traditional Minecraft build stuff, do stuff kind of game.
Mm.
Dragon Quest Treasures, which
I'll speak on it.
Yes, please.
It's pretty cool because those characters are from Dragon Quest XI. The main character of the Treasures is Eric, who is like your second party member, and then the other character is his sister, who has a long history of what do you call it, like a long plot points thing. So it's a little surprising that they were like, yeah, here she is. So.
Yeah.
I think it looks cool. I don't know if I'm gonna like grab it, but I thought it was cute enough.
Admittedly, I have to sit down and actually play a Dragon Quest game sometime in my life. I own the very first one, and I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea at this point in my life. But so be it. Maybe that will be the first one I actually end up playing.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, you could see a lot of the things. The philosophy was, you get a lot of levels early on, and then as you go up, you stop.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I want you to guess something real quick. What is the level cap?
And Dragon Warrior, the first game.
Yeah, I might need to reconfirm this because I think I know, but
255.
Whoa. I think it is okay. I thought it was 25. It's 30.
I was gonna say 30, but I was like, if you're asking me that question, maybe it's like really odd, and I feel like so 255 would be very awkward, I think, for an NES game. So
yeah,
I thought
that's more like Tales of does that and stuff.
I was being, well, it'd be 256 actually, I should say, but I was being clever is what I was trying to do. So but yeah, so that's Dragon Quest. Again, I don't know much about Dragon Quest, so I appreciate you being able to jump in and talk something about
I'm
that.
doing that later today.
Yeah.
So after this podcast, I'm going to be doing Dragon Quest.
Oh yeah, that's right, you are.
Yeah, with Bright at Dragon Quest 9.
Portal 1 and 2 are making their way onto Nintendo Switch, or they're already on Nintendo Switch, I should say. But the more interestingly amazing thing is that Half-Life 2 is almost on Nintendo Switch too, which is amazing. I was talking to my brother about this actually, and he's like, yeah, they're almost done with Half-Life, or getting like hacking the game literally to put Half-Life 2. And I sat there for a second, I'm like, as cool as that is, like thinking about Source's engine, that's probably not the most impressive thing, because like a lot of Portal's like assets are basically the same thing from Half-Life 2, and it's just, and a lot of it ends up being that like you basically just erase the Portal maps and just dump the Half-Life 2 maps into them, and it's like probably like a good 70 to 80, maybe even 90% of like being done. So, but regardless of that, it's cool that they've somehow already just like hacked into the Switch and hacked into the debugging tools and stuff, and hacked into the command lines and stuff, just to be able to do that like kind of within the week that it was really launched. So like, yeah,
Steam Deck, watch out.
Yeah, really.
We're coming for you. And it's cool that they brought over Portal. I'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Harvestella, which is yeah, go ahead. I know you want to.
I just thought it was cool that because I don't think Square Enix has really made a farming sim. Oh, your eyes are closed. What happened?
Are they?
Yeah, and the
My
on
camera's
OBS.
frozen.
Uh-oh. I'll talk while you fix or like reactivate, deactivate. So then the camera focuses on me. I thought it was really interesting because it's kind of like Rune Factory in a sense because it's got combat, it's got relationships, and it's got farming. So I'm quite excited for that, all things considered. Carl's back! Woo!
There we go. God,
I covered him.
God, I wasn't. Hope I wasn't frozen for a long time. I don't know what happened.
Oh, I think he froze again.
No, nope.
Did you not?
No.
Okay, it looks frozen on my end. Oh, there we go. Oh, because you're... let's keep going. Let's keep going. Sorry, folks. This isn't always a perfect setup, but
Yeah.
we do it. What else did we not talk about? Oh, well, Persona.
Yeah, Persona 5... well, it looks like the whole Persona 3, 4, 5 collection is going to be...
Yeah.
On
Portable, golden, and royale with cheese.
Are those going to be like actual on the cartridge, or are they going to be
just digital? I imagine they're gonna have a cart. I'm not sure actually. That's a good question. I don't see why they wouldn't just have a cart, but they also ported to Xbox, and I don't know if they had a box, right? So,
well, I was saying more so. Are they going to be like the way that Kingdom Hearts did it, where they're going to be the cloud service games, or are they going to be actual like on the card itself, or like fully being able to be downloaded? Because I don't know how big. Because I mean, if you think about how big or how long, I should say, Persona 5 is technically. Well, all three Persona games for them. For that matter.
All Persona games are pretty long.
It just kind of makes me question if it's going to be like that cloud service stuff again, or if they're going to put it on cartridges and be done with it.
Yeah, admittedly, I didn't check that, and I don't think I can see an easy way to find that.
I don't suppose you have 4 on Steam, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, because I was going to say you should just check to see how big the download file would be for that, and that would be a pretty good understanding.
TFP? Where are you?
If I recall, what Switch cartridges are 32 gigs?
Man, you're asking questions I don't know. I don't know how large those are. I'll look that up too.
Yeah.
How big is a... Sorry, my typing is loud. People say that, even though I type very calmly. Very calmly.
And did I skip anything? I don't remember. Oh, Little Noah was a game that was...
a platformer thing, I think?
No,
like
fantasy RPG. Kind of in the style of Dragalia Lost, which I know nothing of. And then RPG Time, which these are 2 games I just don't remember from the Direct itself. Like
Little Noah is a platforming kind of thing, actually. I just looked at it.
Okay. Interesting.
The cartridges come in a variety of capacities, with the largest one being 32 gigabytes.
Okay, so that's maximum then. Yeah, so I guess it's a question of just like how big is Persona 5 by itself, really. Maybe they'll just do it as a tri-cartridge thing where each game just gets its own cartridge. I don't know.
Probably. I don't know.
So yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry? Rabbids Party of Legends? Was that also a thing that was in the Direct? I don't remember. I'm just looking at Nintendo now.
Oh, I don't think so. Unless it was just part of the Sparks of Hope.
It might have been like a combo piece, and then, well, I do think they talked about Cuphead though, for sure, which is out now as well, like Sunbreak. So,
but
besides that, yeah, I think that's it. I feel bad if I'm missing something like RPG Time, Legend of Right. Did we talk about that one?
I was just getting to that. Like I again, like I said, those were the 2 games that I just like don't remember anything of, other than that they were just there.
RPG Time, I think, is like it. The person is like making an RPG using a notebook and stuff. Kind of like I think the game's called like Takeshi and Satoru or something. I'll show it here if I remember to.
It's not like Takeshi's Challenge, is it? Okay, Tim Allen. But that's pretty much the recap on the Nintendo Direct, because we want to kind of get going here and move on here. Really quick, we got 2 other bits of news, and then I think Speed's also. I have 2 bits of news, and then Speed's got.
Yeah,
some
and I have
news
one.
too.
Because we talked about it over the Direct, so.
So these are small stories. Unless you got a more actually pressing story, based past my.
No, mine is
here.
pretty shorthand. So go ahead, go ahead, Chief.
All right, so this is great. I feel kind of terrible, but I also kind of understand in a sense too. A guy invested $40,000 of stock into Nintendo, with part of the understanding that he gets to ask, and which is fair. I mean, like 40,000. I mean, it's not like maybe board member status, but like it's enough to be like, all right, I'm an investor. I have questions to ask Nintendo, and his biggest question was, what's going on with F-Zero? To which they seemingly just kind of replied, well, we're waiting for the right moment. Which, in one regard, is like not the best answer, but at the same regard, like, I get it, because, like, F-Zero is still in the oven cooking, and it's still raw right now, and it's not done. And what that means is that the idea, it just isn't there yet for a good F-Zero game. But it's just, I just love how that story just kind of got, like, put together. Was like, yeah, guy invests stock into Nintendo just to ask question.
They are known as Momiji, by the way.
Yeah.
Apparently. Momiji Manjiu.
And they did, and they did request to be, like, their full name to be left anonymous, too. So that's why.
Right, but this is their Twitter.
Yeah.
So
That's on their public Twitter that they attach it to. They're like, yeah, I want you to know. To tell me. And I kind of appreciate Nintendo at least, like, giving an answer at the very least. But, you know, like, I would have been interested to say, I would have been interested if they would have said, like, well, we tried a couple things, but they just didn't work out very well. Like, it's just the kind of the curiosity of just, like, in the developing of video games, like, how many things were tried and just, like, shelved because they just ended up actually being bad ideas? Like, how many games do you think Nintendo has in the vault of ideas that just, like, were surmised and kind of put together, but then it just turned out like, this isn't a very good game, and then they just immediately get shelved?
Well, that happened recently with the Mario movie, if you can recall. Like,
yeah.
Miyamoto watched it and is like, oh, heck no. Apparently it's a musical.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
What?
Yeah. You'll get Charlie Day going like, it's a great day in Nintendo Land today, you know. And then Miyamoto's there like, oh, nande desu ka? But suffice to say, they have both a really cool and a very awkward philosophy in Nintendo when it comes to developing games. Like, they are very sure in their products, and confidence is a good thing. But then sometimes it's like, well, you know, this is how it's designed, so we're not changing it. What do you mean we can't craft multiple things in Animal Crossing? I have to do it one by one.
Well,
and stuff like that.
Well, see, and that's the kind of thing where it's like, now with updates and patches, like, it makes it easier to be kind of like in that mindset too, because then you can just kind of be like, oh, let me fix that, and then, like, you know.
But again, they didn't fix it at all. So
they didn't.
It was an idea of, this is how we wanted it.
But it's also this kind of thing too, where it's like, do you want, like, a whole pile of fixes, I guess, or do you just want new stuff in Animal Crossing? And depending on the development team too, like, you know, it all becomes down, or it really does come down to just, like, putting your resources into different places
of course.
And stuff. So
it's like, is this something we value on the team? And you know, we thought it was like this, so we don't really see a point in doing it. So
and
I can see that mentality.
And the thing with Animal Crossing too is that, because and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this because it's going to be a bad taste in everybody's mouth, but because that Animal Crossing's only monetary gains are within the primary buying of the game and the DLC that came out with the game, and not really much of anything else, like, it has less priority in that regard to update the game, essentially. Now, if Animal Crossing had, like, and I hate to say this, I know everybody's going to boo me for saying this, but if it had microtransactions and stuff, I feel like Nintendo would be much more inclined to then probably fix a lot of that stuff because they would have a team already still available to keep updating, keep making sure that that game is made as best as possible so that like more money gets spent on the game. But of course then like who likes microtransactions anyways?
I mean, I don't see them really updating some of the games that they do have, well, not mobile games, or definitely mobile games are getting updates. I know, I play Fire Emblem Heroes, but I was just thinking like, Kirby, the one what was it, Kirby Clash, like that. I don't see that getting too many updates. I think more so, okay, I think there's a reason to outside of that. I mean, they sell other products, Animal Crossing related, and to get that appealing, they have to make sure the game itself is appealing. But I think it's just I think that's a whole topic for another time. Like our thoughts on Animal Crossing. I think that's a good one. But
we got to keep moving on here. So, and then the last topic I have here. This is also a great topic. Pokemon card player or card game player uses comically large cards in a championship.
Yeah, I like this one.
So, how big were these cards actually when they dropped them down? Because I'm looking at like probably 2 to 3 times the size of a normal Pokemon card being played here. Probably closer to the 3 times.
What's interesting is Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually would do this. If you get like a big box thing, you would get a large card of like the person's thing. So like I think Johnny has or something, or one of my friends has a large Blue Eyes White Dragon card.
You know what? Actually, now I think about it, so like from my perspective, like if you look at my hands and how big they are right now, I have no joke a Palkia card that is this big. No joke.
So yeah.
But my question, I guess, when it comes down to, because like here's the thing about doing, this is where we're taking like those cards into professional gaming tournaments and stuff. Is just goofy in a sense because like a lot of them put a lot of effort into putting them into like card protectors and stuff, and like that's totally fine because some of those cards are essentially worth for lack of a better term, crap ton of money. So, but like my question always has been like if you just show up with like the full real deck of cards and then you just have like basically a faux deck that's the exact same thing, like you just have the deck to verify and then you just use the like the player's deck, so you have like 2 decks, the verification deck and then the player's deck. Like, what's wrong with doing that is my question.
I guess the legitimacy of the cards, if anything. Even if they are verifiably so legit in a sense, I guess it's just... I think it's also how the tournament has to be run as well, just because...
Because I don't know if this person would get away with... This wasn't a actual...
I think they adjusted the rulings because of this.
Oh, no, it was. The Pokemon North American International Championship. So that's a big tournament.
But, and I don't think they got far because they didn't have cards like trainer cards or something.
Oh, yeah, so it's just a bunch of like... Yes, okay. I see what's going on there. Yeah, all right. That's unfortunate. I would have... So did they even win a game?
I don't know. I think they are technically legal, all things considered, though, because like I think they got them from the box set. Actually, now that I think about it. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Man,
I'd like to also point out another instance of
Oh yeah, here we go. The Jumbo cards are in loving community with other Jumbo items like Jumbo Shrimp and Jumbotrons, all perfect things. But this Jumbo item regrettably comes with a noble but fatal flaw. There are no existing Jumbo Trainer or Energy cards which support the power attacks respectively. So Variv's deck was a Jumbo pacifist. So basically, yeah, he's just drawing cards and basically just throwing cards like away, because he couldn't do anything with them.
So I don't think they got far.
No, I don't think so.
I was to say, it reminds me of, do you remember in Yu-Gi-Oh? They invented a new rule because 2 guys came in with 2,222 cards in their deck and would time out people by shuffling their deck.
Oh my goodness.
Did you look it up?
No, I'm just thinking 2,000 cards to shuffle the deck.
Yeah. Here, I'll show you a picture on news worth mentioning. Here.
It makes me wonder how one would even. Yeah, I remember that picture. That's
Yeah.
the best thing ever. So
So they had to change the rules because of it. Because that's why you have a 60 card limit now.
I love when rules have to be changed because of really goofy things like that. It's the best. But yeah. So that's all I got for news. You got anything?
Yeah, it was a brief thing because we were talking last podcast about TF2, and they did release an update regarding certain things. Like they fixed a couple of things. Like for example, I didn't know that the skeletons were supposed to have a frame rate. That was something.
Like what,
but then
from the spooky thing or
the Halloween, yeah, they move like stilted, and they're actually supposed to move smoothly. They fixed that now. But a major thing they added was they added more robust vote kicking things. Like you could cross, if I can recall, you can like ban someone on someone, kick someone else on someone else's thing while another vote is already going on and stuff.
Yeah.
So, still a long way to go, but it's a nice step to give players a way to combat bots in a uniform sense.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, it's a start, I guess.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I hope that like we see in the future stuff like we updated VAC or it is VAC.
Yeah.
VAC.
Yeah. It'd be VAC, Valve Anti-Cheat System.
Yeah. So that's all I had to say really. Okay.
I don't even remember if like Counter-Strike uses VAC. I think it does. Pretty sure it does. So I feel like it's kind of still getting updated as best as it can. It's still not great.
It used to be amazing, as you said.
It used to be one of the best out there, honestly, and then it's just okay now. That's all it is. So, but yeah, that's the news today. I'm your anchor, Carlito, the 1001.
And I'm Kevin, the Speed Lasher Supreme. Weather. What?
How's the weather?
Hi.
All right, moving on. Okay, so this topic today, our primary topic that we're going to be discussing,
This is another one we pulled from the topics, or like we tested the waters and topics channel on Carl's Discord.
Yeah, and this one definitely got a pass to be able to do it, and it's something that I think will be rather interesting to kind of go about. I don't remember what the entire topic is like fully, what we named the topic. I just know it's about video games to suggest to people who have never played video games before. It's quite rolls right off the tongue.
So that can be a variety of audiences. That could be like, grandma wants to play video games, or Fortnite.
So this kind of comes down to a lot of different perspectives that you have to kind of throw into here. And honestly speaking, we're not going to have one right answer for all. But I have a method of kind of going about how to kind of think about how to go about this. And,
me too. Good. Okay.
And maybe they're going to be the same, or maybe they're going to be kind of like very strikingly different. So, when I think about like what do we kind of like base video games off of, and like the best thing I can think of honestly is we have to go back to the pre-dark ages of video games, when all we had, like the closest thing to a video game that I could possibly think of was a board game. This comes down to what the easiest possible board game I can think of, because like when it comes down to it, one of the hardest things, and this also actually factors into a point of when I teach music, because like my mindset when teaching music is I find myself having to kind of like have to re-slow myself down, because I'm just like going way the heck over the heads of people, and not really 100% realizing it until I'm like a little too deep into it. So when it comes down to it, you have to really, I think like the first and foremost thing that you really have to think of, and this is going towards board games, is what is the easiest board game that you can possibly think of when it comes down to identifying and understanding how to translate that kind of thing into literally giving a person a controller and saying play the video game. And the best and awkward example I can think of is Candyland. It is the easiest board game I can think of.
I was thinking of Snakes and Ladders, but yeah, that might be easier.
I mean, at the basis of Candyland, you have a board. It snakes around in one primary direction, and all you do is pull cards and you move forward. And this kind of methodology of thinking puts video games honestly into one of three categories that I've kind of put into. This category of Candyland falls into the get to the end category of video games, with the other two categories being that you play a video game for points, and the last one being for pure enjoyment and nothing else.
Right.
So that's the kind of things that you have to kind of like that. Those are the three categories I've kind of prefaced into as far as like leading somebody into a video game, because like you have get to the end, which is just the accomplishment factor for somebody, which is all the story-based games, all the adventure games, kind of generally speaking. You have points, which is really the competitive gaming style, and like this kind of goes like from the true dark ages of gaming, which is like arcade games and stuff. You know, playing stuff even as simple as Pong. Like the whole point of Pong is to get the most points. But like if you spin the clock way the heck forward, and I know that this is not the most what would it be, the most modern game to use, but it is still fully in play and fully regarded and still at esports and all that kind of stuff. And I know it's gonna be goofy to compare it to Pong, but Counter-Strike is the same fashion of that you play that game literally for points. So I don't think that's far off to understand that that's the second. And then the last one, the last point that I like to kind of put into perspective is the perspective of enjoyment. Because there are a lot of games out there that do not have this factor of getting to the end of a game or getting to the I beat the high score / I beat the opposing team in the video game. And that's something that really throws in a big plus factor for adding in a lot of different games to just add to the factor of like what do you start somebody off with. So now I'm curious to kind of see what your kind of points that you kind of like summarized in the beginning here.
So my approach is more like why am I picking these games? So I think this piggybacks more off yours because I didn't really divide and categorize. Mine is more like just a general. I think when a person is like, I want to know about video games, I think one of the major things, sure, there's a lot of games that don't have this, but I think teaching someone how to move and grasp those mechanics is really important because then they are able to traverse so many games. Like being able to understand first person and then third person and then knowing how to move your character, I think is very vital. Although, we have these games like Phoenix Wright, you don't really do that, but, you know. And then I also put, it should innately interest in them in one way or another, because to get someone to really like something, they have to like something. So you have to also think, depending on what my audience is or who I'm trying to like get into video games, it has to grab their, thing and then want them to delve more into video games. So those are my 2 points anyway, on like my criteria on how do I suggest the game, or like what are we teaching with this?
So basically you're talking about controls are a big factor as one of your points there.
Yeah, I think because if they can't play the game, then they won't enjoy the game. Well, of course, like I said, there's plenty of games where you don't really need to have movement, but a majority do, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
So one of the games that I actually picked, I think, as part of this.
We're moving on to games now?
Well, I think this topic's going to kind of just like jump back and forth, honestly speaking, because there's just so much stuff. But so you put in controls, because I also put a little note here about controls too. And I was thinking that when it comes down to it, the most basic controlling game that I can think of throughout all of video gaming, and this may be a strange one, but I think it has a lot of merit to kind of like be one of, if not really the best to kind of like throw you into it and understand, is Pac-Man, of all things. Pac-Man, all you have is a joystick. It moves up, down, left, right, and nothing else. Here's the thing about Pac-Man as well, is that Pac-Man forces you to start moving. So like in the first like 2 seconds of Pac-Man, the things that you understand are you are the character in the center, you start moving and you're taking away all the pellets on the screen, like already by just by the game forcing you to move, and you have a joystick that moves up, down, left, right. So like it gives you a whole bunch of stuff that you just like makes you understand like, okay, this is all what's happening. And that's like the biggest thing that a game kind of has to like do as best as possible, is it has to like teach you how to play it. You know, some of these games, like, you know, even some, because I was thinking about like Breath of the Wild, on whether or not that would be a really good game to kind of start people off with. And I'm like kind of mixed opinion on that one, because specifically there's a lot of controls that go into Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And somebody who's never picked up a video game controller in their life are going to look at all 4 of those buttons, plus all the shoulder buttons on top, plus the D-pad, plus the left stick, plus the right stick, plus the plus button, and then plus the home button and the screenshot button. And then they're going to realize that they're holding the controller upside down this whole time.
Kind of like you in Sunshine.
Yeah. So, but like with Pac-Man, I mean, like in this, I'm talking like you walk into an arcade and you look at Pac-Man. Pac-Man is a forced controller that you can't like move around or anything like that. It's bolted down to the board of the whole entire machine. So like your up is going to be up, your down is going to be down, your left is going to be left, and your right is going to be right. And Pac-Man gives you a decent amount of time, too, to kind of start experimenting around with, like, what's going on. And Pac-Man also teaches you what is good and bad about the game. It is good to collect the pellets, not bullets. It is good to collect the superpower, which I don't actually know what that the super pellet as it would be in Pac-Man. And if you touch the ghosts, they're bad. And then also, if you get the fruit in the middle, you get bonus points at the top, which is brightly shown at the top to what you need to do. There is an aspect, the primary aspect is to get the most points, but there is a secondary objective of like how far can you actually get in the game, or can you get to the proverbial end, if you will. So I think that's really going back into controls altogether. I think Pac-Man is probably the best starter control game that one I think really can think of too.
I'll agree with that. I definitely don't think that it can like, oh man, I'm really into video games now kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I think to grasp very basic controls, I think that's a good. I mean, you know, that's why that's why Pac Daddy's grandpa of video games, and why I put him on a poster. Okay, I'll piggyback off that. It's not quite Pac-Man, so I have a lot of like platformers actually on here.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with Kirby. I think you could just say almost any Kirby, besides maybe the spin-offs, because it's a pretty easy to grasp game. You have like not too many controls depending. Obviously, the movesets get more diverse depending on what you suck up, but I think the main reason why I would suggest Kirby is like, for one, I think we both agree it's pretty simple, and I think it's pretty easy to grasp for other people as well. Particularly because Kirby can just go whoop, whoop, whoop. So it's not like you're going to be falling down a lot of stuff if you can master that very easily. And I think there's a lot of ones that are pretty good to start with. And going off of your criteria, you can... it doesn't take that long to get to the ending. And there's a brief story, there's a progression. Levels change and stuff like that. So it's like, ooh, I'm really progressing through the game. My son will be proud of me. Stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that then, Kirby?
So I'm going to take a step further and say that there is a Kirby game that's specific to that. And I think there is one that sits above all of them as far as a first Kirby game, and it's kind of
Yarn.
Yeah, and that's
yes.
The thing about Kirby's Epic Yarn though is that Kirby's Epic Yarn does really well in quite a few aspects, but it loses points in one very striking aspect, and that Kirby's Epic Yarn is it's nothing like the other Kirby games. So it's a very interesting thing of like, if you start with Kirby Epic Yarn and you play like Kirby's Adventure or Kirby's Dream Land 1, 2, 3 or 64, you're gonna be like, I thought Kirby was just Yarn the whole time and didn't have these abilities and stuff. But to go off of Yarn as far as like a first game for anybody to actually play, Kirby's Epic Yarn does a fantastic job of, number one, making it so that it is literally impossible to lose that game, so that the game is always continuing and puts more skill in the completion of it, not the failure aspect of that. Number two, it does have the difficulty spike of if you want to try to get all the gold medals and try to get all the collectibles and stuff, because like when you start to add that as a factor into the game, and this is why I think everybody should actually end up like 100% in Kirby's Epic Yarn, just because it's like that's where the real challenge of that game ends up being. But the last thing to talk about is that Kirby's Epic Yarn. I think out of all the Kirby games out there, honestly speaking, I think it does the multiplayer the best out of all of them. I think it's just the most multiplayer friendly. I think it really works well with and with Prince Fluff being in the game too. Like it really kind of shines the 2-player aspect to really work as a team together, because that's like the whole plot of the game.
So I was to add to that. I think multiplayer games where you can have someone who knows video games and guide you is very vital as well. Not to baby you or anything, but to be like, hey, this is where you could do this or something like that. And I have another answer later that I briefly talked about earlier. Maybe if you have the memory of that, that I'll discuss later as well. About multiplayer being pretty useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kirby's Epic Yarn is a good pick. I was giggling a little earlier because I forgot how tilted we got at each other when we did that on a Speedy Sunday.
Yeah, but that's only because like that's our inner perfectionist trying to really, number one, we're at the pressure of being on stream, so like we want to make sure that the game doesn't taking as like forever as possible. And number two, like we want to be good at the game. We don't want to be
it's just funny because we were like, no, I didn't do that. Yes, you did. It was that thing that I'm saying we got tilted at each other.
Yeah.
There's a thumbnail where we're angry. That's the one. If you remember.
And I got blamed even though it was your fault.
Okay, so what's your next idea here? Well, actually, we kind of did it, but yeah, you can say another.
Yeah,
one.
so one of the more interesting games to kind of come in the more recent of years, probably within the 2000, like probably 15 and up. I don't remember when it was first released, like altogether, and the thing too is that when you spin the clock back, really these games have been released since like the late 90s, I'm pretty sure, maybe even earlier, like maybe earlier in the 90s, but more specifically I'm thinking about the Jackbox series. There is a lot of people, and when you think about like there's like musician friends that I have, and like they don't talk about video games too much, but like you bring up Jackbox in any conversation, and oh my god, it's like wildfire. Like these, all of a sudden everybody just jumping over and like, yeah, I play Jackbox, it's awesome. And when you think about that, like Jackbox is such an easy concept. Like all you need is your phone. And most of the time, it just provides you with stupid, easy prompts to do. It's like almost on the same realm as WarioWare, which is probably a game we could get into talking about too down the road here. But like,
I'll add to that.
But yeah, I mean, like all the Jackbox games that are coming out, you just need the primary source, and then you have 8 people or 2 to 8 people to come and play. There's a whole variety of different kind of games that you can play, so that ends up being a very varietized like thing for people to kind of choose from, so you can have like votes of like which one should we play, which one do we not want to play, which one do we like, which one do we hate. And it just and it really works the brain well, because most of Jackbox's genius is literally that it works the brain more so than it really works having to require controllers being much of a thing. So I think that like with Jackbox have coming out since the first one, and really the games like You Don't Know Jack being prior to that, I think the combination of those two really has done very well to adding as a very good introduction game to people that do not understand video games at all.
Right. I think it's a hard gateway game in a sense though, because like I played Jackbox. I don't know where you move on to from there in terms of like delving further into video games, but I see it as a pretty good juncture point at which, well, if this is like, let me pretend to be like an old person. If this is what they're capable of, I wonder what else is in there. that phone of theirs. Fortnite's on the phone. My son's been talking about that.
Yeah,
I think that
transitioning from Jackbox, that's definitely a very difficult thing to kind of think about too. That does raise a really good point. But I think that like the biggest thing with like transitioning from Jackbox is like getting the understanding of like knowing that there's dialogues and stuff to a video game, because like
Right.
when I think about my father most when I think about like getting him to play games, because I'm always trying to get him away from watching less TV shows and trying to a video game or two here and there. And his mindset is always, and this is why I prefaced with the three categories at the beginning, because his mindset is that video games are only defined by points. When he plays Super Mario Brothers, he's only going for points, which I think is whack in a lot of different ways, because that is just not what Super Mario Brothers is really. I mean, it can be.
Floor him. Do the turtle trick against the staircase.
Yeah, really.
To get all the 1-ups. It was like, beat that.
Yeah, really. So, but yeah. So and not to say that Jackbox is also a points game too. But I think with a lot of the unique dialogues and stuff, and just a lot of the I guess the kookiness of it, if you will. I think like it kind of opens the mind of like there's a lot of stuff that could really just be like thrown into a video game too. So
right. I think you know what. I'm gonna backtrack a little. I think you actually nailed a pretty solid thing about what video games also are. They're a social thing.
yeah.
And if I'm to add what I was to say, or like when you were talking about WarioWare, I would just say minigame type games like Mario Party. Each minigame has a clear instruction on how to play, and you experience multiple kinds. So you're getting a diverse experience each time, and you're still dealing with controls at this point as well.
Right.
So you're getting interest in that regard too. So I think that like Jackbox, if you were to then use it as a gateway, you could say, oh, video games aren't just a thing you do alone. They're something you do with other people. In a room, and here's another game like it, Mario Party or something. I don't know which Mario Party I'd recommend though.
See, Mario Party is kind of a little bit more of a difficult, because there's a lot of factors that you have to take into effect with Mario Party. See, this is where I think WarioWare kind of shines a little bit brighter than Mario Party in a lot of regards.
Right, because you don't really have to deal with the board stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, you have like when it comes and I'm gonna use Mega Party games because I think that's the better example, and honestly, I think it's the better WarioWare game, all things considered. But when I look at that game as opposed to every other, or as opposed to Mario Parties, like you take the first multiplayer WarioWare game, which is the Survival Fever. It's the dancing game, and all it is that you have 3 lives, and everybody gets a chance to play their one mini game, and the game pretty much teaches you that this goes back to basic controls, because all you have is a stick, and this is where the GameCube kind of shines as a really unique controller, because then you use that big old green button as your controller and nothing else. There are no other games out there that really utilize any of the other buttons. It's just the green button and the stick in that regard.
I gotta say that's why I really like the GameCube. Like ergonomically, a lot of games are designed where the A button is used the most, and guess what? It's the biggest button on the controller.
Yeah.
So,
admittedly, though, I will say that the GameCube, if there's anything the GameCube truly, truly suffers at, it is 2D platformers. It is.
yeah, because
it does not do 2D platform. Like I get it. When they made the GameCube, they had the full intentions of making games that were 3D and utilize that controller as best as possible. And at the end of the day, when you look at the GameCube's library, they fully did it perfectly. But when you throw in games like the Sonic Mega Collections, where it has Sonic 2, and it's like, okay, use this as a 2D platforming controller, it's like, or more concerning and confusingly is the GameCube player. Like, I love the GameCube player, don't get me wrong, but let me tell you, when I'm trying to play like Super Mario Bros. Deluxe on the GameCube player, it's the most awkward. It's the most awkward spiral of garbage possible. But you know what?
Let me add to that. Puzzle games. I don't know how I got to Master Rank in Colin's Crown using the analog stick. That was frustrating. Because you want to like nudge it once and it goes off to the side.
just think, kids. Just think if the GameCube controller had stick drift, which if you played enough Smash and ended up doing so, but that would be pretty awful for puzzle games. So, but what were you talking about?
What other games you got?
Yeah, so this kind of stems out a little bit less from just kind of going on. So the last point I think we kind of got a decent get to the point or get to the end and then points kind of definition of games. So this kind of goes
Ooh.
into the enjoyment factor of games, and this is a little bit of a harder one to nail down because I spent a lot of time thinking about this one as far as what can really fit into there. You know, what kind of games can you really throw in where it's just kind of like the game is just the full focus of the game really is just for enjoyment. And I don't know if this one necessarily is a good or bad, but at the end of the day, you know, I looked this up a few days ago actually, and I didn't realize that it really was number one. But Minecraft's full understanding of a video game really is for the enjoyment of just doing whatever the heck you want to do.
Right.
At the end of the day, you can go out and adventure and do the get to the end, or you can sit there and you can build whatever the heck you want. And I think the sales figures of Minecraft really put that in the fullest perspective of just like, yeah, that game is for anybody really. You know, if you want to. And it starts out as simple as possible. You know, you move forward, backward, left, right, and you have jump, and you have a button that really, just does what is selected at the time being. And you start with nothing, which is, I think, the best way to kind of go about Minecraft, really. Because, like, you pick something up and you learn specifically about what that little thing is. And then eventually you kind of, like, get more explored and more explored. And it isn't to say that, Minecraft does kind of have a controller learning curve, because there is a lot of stuff that
it certainly
that you do need to kind of figure out. But, like, it's, again, and this is also the thing, too, where it's like you could just go into creative mode as well. And that takes, I think, a lot of that pressure of Minecraft out of the equation, because now you don't have to worry about survival aspects and stuff, and it just becomes a matter of, like, basically looking through a 64 of crayons and, like, trying to figure out, which colors do I want, or in the case of Minecraft too, the only other added thing is, like, which textures and which, little pieces I want to, and it just becomes Legos at that point. So I think Minecraft does a pretty decent job of starting people out slow and building them up and building them up.
I'll definitely agree with that, because I was thinking about adding that and I wasn't sure, but then I didn't think, yeah, why not just give them creative mode if they can't get it? I mean, I talk about this. I think first person is probably the most difficult control thing to manage for new players, because there are a lot of vertices and axes you're working with, but at the same time, Minecraft definitely gives you that sense of accomplishment pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. I punched a tree and I got a block, and then it taught me what else can I make with this block, and then boom, boom, boom. It's pretty gradual progression, which I think is very satisfying for a lot of people. And you could see a lot of people, old, young, our age, play Minecraft. So
yeah, and it's the kind of thing too where it's my channel did a lot of that stuff in the past. That's basically how we kind of met in some regard, isn't it?
Yeah,
Minecraft.
He built tower. You need to like go through that save. I can't.
I have a lot of Minecraft saves just somewhere on my computer too. That's the tragic part. That'd be an interesting day. I would have to I'd have to go through those by myself before I go allow this, because I don't know if there's, like, personal stuff within some of those older servers or not.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because some of those servers haven't been booted up, and it'd be interesting to see which servers will make it and which ones will not make it through the great what would it be called? The great updating of servers.
Oh yeah, the great updating of updates.
Yeah, because some of those old, you're talking 10 years of not being updated, and then you have modern day Minecraft stuff, and all the files are still technically the same. It's just a matter of, like, you just got to send them through the modernized updates, and
And the modernized update actually has added, like, smoother biome transition between old saves, so it could work. But hey, write that down. That could be a fun thing, because I did that before. I went through my solo Minecraft experiences at one point. So
yeah. So.
But let me piggyback off that yet again, because you're talking about now personal enjoyment. I won't get to all of mine, but that's fine. I want you to guess what game this is. This is a game, the only game that my dad has played and beaten.
Was that it?
Yeah, can you guess from that? And the thing of you play this solely for your own joy.
The game he's played and beaten.
Yeah. Beaten in a sense. Let me add that caveat because it's a game that is hard to beat.
It's a game that's hard to beat, but he's beaten it.
Or it's a game that's hard to define as beaten.
So it's a points game.
No.
No.
In a sense, yes. This is a hard thing. This is like 20 questions. I
don't know if I could get this one. That's
okay. I'll just say it, and then you'd be like, what are you saying? Animal Crossing.
The original one?
Yeah, his character's name was Bob. I told him to name it Bob. He got a lot of classical furniture. He paid off all the debt. And he was like, son, I can see the appeal of this.
Son, this is teaching you good financial habits.
But you see, I think I have evidence that this is a game that is appealing to people who have never played video games before. It's easy to move. The goals are very digestible. Pay off the raccoon or the tanuki. Mm-hmm. You move in a 3D environment and you understand. This is something you learn from other games. Managing assets. There's a lot of micromanagement games, and then this one's pretty binary. It's like, do you have bells or do you not have bells? How do you get bells? Stuff like that. And I don't know which one to suggest at this point. I would probably still just say the newest one. I think
Horizons.
Because I was gonna mention this. I don't know if I'll get around to it, but like, there are people who have aversion to pixel games. They're like, oh, that seems too retro.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is unfortunate. I think they're stymieing themselves in doing that. But I think Animal Crossing is a good pick. What do you think?
And the thing too about, I guess, with that is that this comes down to this goes back to like understanding like people's interests and understandings with music and stuff, because like there's a lot of kids that I teach lessons to, and their only mindset is just just one, maybe two genres of music and nothing else, which is fine. And I think instead of sitting there and trying to beat a dead horse of just like, you have to listen to other stuff, you got to be interested in jazz, like I go back to my own self when I was listening to music, and I had that awful elitist ideas that hard rock was like the best music possible, rap sucked, and all that kind of stuff. And I have very much so changed my tune like a full 180, because now I enjoy everything under the sun, and I find myself actually listening to hard rock probably the least out of most anything else these days, just because like and this comes from a couple of things of just number one, going through music school, like my tune and my understanding of music has definitely just been broadened and understood. My understanding of like music theory and music understanding and stuff, and I don't mean to make this about music, just the whole topic, but
it's fine.
But just kind of that like understanding of just time will take its course, and some people do just all they want to do is play shooters all day, and that's totally fine. If that's if they're enjoying that and they're enjoying their life, then they're fully allowed to do that. But I think down the road, a more social aspect, more people that you meet and stuff, you're turned on to different games, and you're just introduced into different games. Like I think without like the Hexagon community, the Car 101 community, if you will, I think like I probably would never really have sat down and played Stardew Valley, or really been interested in playing Stardew Valley. And with the follower night, I would not be surprised if one of those games that was suggested ends up just kind of like triggering me into kind of like going forward and being like, yeah, let's do that game now, because that was like the most interesting thing possible. So to kind of go back with it, I think it's just a matter of let them just kind of not like let them not enjoy pixel games for the time being, but give them 5-10 years, see where they're at. They might change their tune on that. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. My friend was like, I can't really watch older animes. I gotta watch newer ones. I'm like, but Cowboy Bebop though is pretty good. But I haven't talked to them in a while to see. But I think that's definitely fair, because I think the last thing you want to do when you're introducing something that you are passionate about, and I think this also goes to music, this goes to art, don't gatekeep. Don't tell them, well, since you don't enjoy this, then you're not a true gamer.
Yeah, that's true too.
If you only play Animal Crossing, well, you're not a real gamer. Come meet me around the back for some Valorant.
Yeah, I guess to kind of go off of that, I that statement of "you're not a true gamer" is such a it's so overused in not enough capacity of a person too, because like here's my understanding of what a true gamer, and this goes to that stupid list that we played for a little bit in Discord. So to kind of understand, we had this list of, it was 100, and it was 100 different genres of video, not genres, 100 different brands of video game, like series titles and stuff. And it was just a genre of like, have you played how many of these have you played? And hats off to TFP for getting a 94, basically an A straight on his test score, because I got a C average of 75 on mine.
And I have like a 89.
Yeah.
I haven't really actually done it yet. So
yeah, so
I'll make it for this podcast, and we'll show both of ours.
Yeah, so but the thing is that like, yeah, okay, you're really good at one game, but like, are you good at all the games? How many, like, and this is where like, esports really needs the I wish they still did. Back in the day, when the days of Screw Attack, the website, they used to have a tournament called the Iron Man of Gaming, and it was like 5 of the random games possible thrown into a tournament, with the 6th and the 7th being mystery games that you show up, you have no idea what you're playing.
Yeah,
and that in the Iron Man Gaming at the Screw Attack conventions that they did way back in like the early 2010s, one of the games they had was Sonic 4, who could get the farthest. And what I mean by that is that Sonic 4 wasn't even out yet when they did that. They talked to Sega and they were like, can we do this at our convention and have like playable demos at our convention? They were the first ones to do that. Everybody got to, it was like The Wizard when they showed Super Mario Bros. 3. That was the preface of it. Like, they wanted to have that cool, awesome feeling and stuff. But like, what I'm saying is that like, real talk, like if we put in 100 completely different games together and put quote unquote gamers to play them, I want to see how well they really do. I want to see them like go from that spectrum of like, yeah, all right, I'm awesome at Valorant, to like, trying to beat a Final Fantasy game in a decent a game they may have never even played. Like, I want to see
it's
that.
Like I get what you're saying. It's like, so you're a gamer because you specialize in one thing. Like, what does it mean to be that? I don't like the term gamer. It feels a little forced, but okay. Hold on. I wanted to say something. It also reminds me, at Evo, they have tournaments for like weird fighting games as well, like Shaq Fu. Can you do it?
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. That going back to controls, like we were talking about like games that were from the easy perspective of controls, but like okay, yeah, Valorant. I don't mean to use Valorant because like I could just switch it to like Overwatch, I could use CS:GO.
It's not like I hate Valorant. I haven't played it,
but like yeah, okay, so we could take like a game like Counter-Strike, yeah, and the controls are moderately good, but like yeah. I want you to try and play, or here we go, like using a fighter game.
Bubsy 3D.
Yeah, Bubsy 3D. Who can get the farthest in Bubsy 3D? Versus, and then the next game, you go to is like, all right, 1v1 me in Star Wars
Terrace Casa. Dude, I'm beating you. I know the tiers. I'm gonna make a declaration. Justin Wong, you're great. I could beat you in Puzzle Fighter.
Ooh, it's being called out. It's being thrown down.
I'm not big enough for that to hit him. Oh, that's funny though, because I was watching that they had an off tournament of Puzzle Fighter. And I was like, man, can you guys do like the quick drop? Can you? It was fun to watch that though, because it's not something he's really good at other games. He won like he got top 2, or he got 2 number 1 places.
Yeah,
recently. So,
but yeah, I see. I'd love to have a tournament though, where it would be like the first round of games would be like the most popular games, and the further along you get on the tournament, like as soon as people get knocked out, like when you start to get to the top of the pyramid is when you start to get like the really horrendously badly controlled games, and this comes down to the gamer's intuition of how well they can sit there and learn those horrendous controls and still be able to play it and beat everybody else on top of that. See,
I'm gonna say
that's the mark of a gamer right there.
who might have the best shot, I feel, are speedrunners that do more than one game.
Yeah, and but even still, like, I mean, if you're talking about like, let's say there's a 25 tier tournament, you start off with the first 20, the first, so you would have to divide that by like 25, divided probably by like 1,000, maybe even like the tens of thousands before you start like knocking off people so that the pyramid shrinks down to the top. But I mean, like even 2 games that a speedrunner can run. I mean, even 2 bad games that a speedrunner, like those people that can like run like Bubsy 3D or even like Superman 64. Like, I mean, they're in really good like standard to be able to like do some of those games probably in the upper tier. But even still, I mean, some of those games have horrendously terrible controls that just like will throw somebody completely off, and like especially, and this is where like the equalizer can kind of sometimes go into play, because like you could throw in like a really bad like fighter control like airplane game or something like that, where by default and only by default inverted controls are on and nothing but on. And you have to, because like I'm one of the minority in this regard by saying this, and that I enjoy inverted controls in a lot of different games. That's just how I've been raised. That's how I've like played games in a sense. But like, I'd say 90 to 95% of the Discord probably
Halo people will agree with you.
Yeah. But
most people don't.
Yeah, in modern games, everybody does up, down, left, right, just standard for their mouse. Like if you like. If you make somebody play like an old, like very first attempted, like full motion free mouse game, for an FPS back in the day, like, and you give that to like a Valorant player, again, don't mean to use Valorant, Counter-Strike or somebody, like a modern day one, and like ask them to play it where they don't have control of being able to switch the mouse to standard, like they're gonna struggle. They're going to struggle bus like crazy. But like even. And I don't mean to say that, I would even win this tournament myself, but like I've definitely been in a couple situations where I've had to flip my mentality and be able to do that. And this comes down to, and then, and I don't mean to keep going on this conversation, but I'm on a roll here. And then we can do the really goofy things of like the top tiers, like the top last 3 like parts of the tournament are like crowd control aspects of video games.
Oh no.
So then they have to take into the aspect of like trying to literally fight the audience that's trying to murder them now
with the tens of thousands of people watching.
so yeah, I mean, like going back to all of that, the like saying the understanding of being the quote unquote true gamer
is not defined by anyone, so don't feel like you've been snub nosed.
Yeah, because
I'll spin it politely.
Because I think the truth of it though is that there's no way to define there, like Speed said, it really is kind of impossible to define it, because you can be good at one game, but to be good at all the games, okay.
Yeah, I mean, besides me. No. Yeah, right.
1v1 me in Tetris, brah. 1v1 me in Dr. Mario.
Okay, then you have to do Puyo, and then you have to do Street Fighter Puzzle Fighter. And then what's the tiebreaker? Like Bomberman W? Or
No, we gotta find like the weird...
Yoshi's Cookie.
Yoshi's Cookie. Oh.
I barely played that, man. Okay, but do you have any other games besides making the GOAT tournament?
I guess the only thing I can think of that it really didn't touch on was aesthetics in video games too. I put a really goofy title on here, and I'm gonna stand by my decision, even though it's gonna be horrendously wrong, and nobody's gonna agree with me. But I was thinking about just like looking at beautiful sceneries and stuff, and this goes into that enjoyment factor of games. When I was thinking more of when I said the enjoyment category of video games, my understanding was is finding that serene kind of feeling of you load up a game and you get kind of lost just in the atmosphere and the environment and stuff of the video game, and
Okay.
my choice.
You saying I might disagree with this? I hope it's Soda Drinker Pro.
You're gonna disagree with us, not because it's not one of our traditional answers. You're gonna disagree with us because it's a bad answer, but it's with good intentions.
Last of Us?
My choice for this, and I can't believe I'm gonna say this myself, but it's true, and I do experience this every time I play it. Is the video game Rust. I know what I know what you're thinking, because it's
No wonder you said Speed won't agree with this,
and
because I haven't played it.
well and here's the thing too, is this is the reason I put this on here is that yes, the whole understanding of Rust is nothing to do with the serene environments. I mean, there is a little bit of it that does actually have a factor into that, but
Yeah, the sun blows you up.
but
sometimes.
I do find myself a lot of times when I load up Rust and I find a quiet server to kind of hang out on. And if you do have access to a really solid graphics card with really solid RAM and really solid processor, I really do recommend that you do spend like maybe like a little bit of time just like roaming around a server with those at like the maximum settings and just like taking in the sceneries and stuff. It's not the best graphical game to say, but there is just something about it that it does really well. And this kind of, as weird as I am going to transition this over into Animal Crossing, this takes that same kind of vibe I had when I was playing Animal Crossing Horizons for the first few times. One of the things that really got to me about Animal Crossing New Horizon was I was sitting there and all of a sudden the music had stopped in the game and all I could hear was the wind. And for whatever reason, they did the wind so well that I actually ended up, I don't think there's any footage of this anymore, but I remember I closed my eyes for a second because I was just taking in the atmosphere of the game. And when a game
Here, yeah, emulate it. So, close your eyes.
But yeah, it's the same thing where Russ really did a really good job of being able to kind of do that, and I think that
Atmospheric.
kind of ties into an understanding of that. Like some games, people kind of suggest are too hard just from the get go, just because of like what they expect you to just kind of go into. But like with Rust, I've kind of changed my tune a little bit about how someone should go in and start experiencing Rust, because I've always been under the impression that like you just throw yourself into it and like you start arguments and you start fighting and like, and that's not far off from the truth of what the true heart of Rust is. But like nowadays, like because Rust has such a horrendous learning curve, like I'd almost say you'd have a more enjoyable time literally going into a server with like 5 people, or even no people at all, and just kind of like wandering around and exploring the environment. I knew somebody that did that with a lot of different games, and like when I kind of like saw them like doing that with games, like it really changed my tune on like how someone kind of like perceives and understands and defines video games. And this is something I've always been or I should say I've been really bad at. And this is something that I hate to say streaming killed this a little bit in me, but it's the honest truth of it. But when I look at video games, I really am a very goal-oriented person. I'm looking more at like get to the end, and points is more of my categories that I focus on with a lot of games. And I really have lost my it's not even the will to, or it is the will actually, to sit there and just enjoy the moment with a lot of it. My moments that I enjoy with games are more kind of driven towards just getting that finishing, watching the credits roll, feeling that accomplishment of just being like, yeah, I did it. As opposed to really just being able to kind of just sit there and be like, and this was something that actually is very interesting with you, because this goes into American Truck Simulator, because I was a little like bothered for a second when you said it, but then I immediately retracted and I was like a lot more okay with it, because to kind of preface me, my friend TFP and Tom, or our friends TFP and Tom, have been playing Euro Truck Simulator and American Truck Simulator, and the basis of the game is literally to drive a truck from point A to B. It's literally to what life is like kind of being like as a truck driver. And we got into this like fashion of like who can get to the end first. Like we started racing literally, which isn't to say that we weren't enjoying the game in the sense. But then we finally got Speed to come and join us in Truck Simulator, and
Hi.
Speed said that he wanted to not go as fast as possible. He wanted to sit there and enjoy the environment, and enjoy the scenery. Or the scenery and the serene vibes of the game, which I'm hoping that you actually ended up doing so when you were driving the 1 or 2 times that you
Yeah, we still haven't played enough, but at least I haven't played enough.
Yeah.
I need to play off my off time. I think would that be okay?
I mean, I have been doing that, so.
What? Right. Okay.
So, but I mean, like, yeah, I mean, that's just the thing is that like like that when people say that like. I do get a bitter sense in my mouth, and I find if I can catch myself and retract myself, I end up enjoying the game more, I think, and I think I end up enjoying the game more so with people as well, because it just games really. I know, like I said, there's the 3 categories: get to the end, points, and enjoyment. And I think based on what I said in the beginning, and maybe this isn't even a full retraction of my thought process from the beginning, I think going back to it, the enjoyment is probably the most important category out of all 3 of those. So.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, because if you're not satisfied with, like, you learned how to play the game and stuff, but if you're not satisfied, then you're not going to continue. And I think that that's really the challenge of suggesting a game. These things we're suggesting are general, but they're not specific. We don't know a case by case. We don't have a target person we're aiming for. But hopefully, as we continue and keep mentioning a little more, maybe people who haven't, it's like, oh, well, okay, I have an idea. But for sure, we won't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way of knowing if these will appeal to people.
Yeah.
But what were you, like, retracting, by the way, when it comes to, like, you held your tongue? Was it like, nah, speed up, speed, come on? Was that what you
Yeah,
wanted to say?
because I mean, like, me, TFP, and Tom, we had all just kind of evolved into, and I don't know if evolved's the right word, but just kind of like gone,
Devolve.
gone. We had, I guess, yeah, moved into that just understanding of, or I don't want to say understanding, just our tune of the game changed into race each other to the end, to finish the task as quick as possible. Basically, get to the end for points, if you will, and lacking the the enjoyment, which is kind of more of what the game really is about. So you showed up, and I was expecting you to also kind of join in the races and stuff, and you were immediate to be like, no, I want to sit here and I want to drive my truck at speed limit as as normal as possible, and
I hope I don't injure my back.
So yeah, it takes me a second sometimes to kind of like understand that and retract myself from that mentality of like, yeah, we got to speed as fast as possible and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, we joke about it with TFP. It's like save states, easy mode, chump.
yeah,
We mean it towards him, but but we don't mean it in general, in terms of like, you gotta enjoy games the way you enjoy them.
mm-hmm.
If that involves inverting your controls like a freak, like Carl's pumping up. He's doing some motions there.
Go ahead,
Yep.
finish your thought.
Then you can enjoy games however you want to enjoy them. Okay. I definitely had more to talk about on this topic, but do you want to wrap up, or do you have other stuff?
I just want to wrap up really quick by saying, some people can sit there and enjoy Roller Coaster Tycoon by building an awesome 5.0 roller coaster, or you could just sit there and build the awesome 12.5 rating intensity amazing waterway to heaven. Oh, did I say that? Oh, I'm
It
sorry.
won't change. It will change. I have game knowledge now. I've been watching Marcel Voss. I know how to cheat the system. Scenery bonuses, detractions. How much of a height drop does it have to have? Boom. You're going down, brother. I was just gonna say, in my concluding thoughts, is what is hard to suggest, and I would say 2 things. You kind of went about on it. Anything with PvP is really hard I think, for a general audience to get into, because it's like they're just gonna beat me. And getting into that mentality is really rough. When you know that you're at a skill deficit with someone else, then you just start battering yourself more down. So I can't really recommend PvP games. And then I also can't really recommend games with microtransactions, because I don't know how susceptible a given audience is to microtransactions. Like, oh, I have to win. I have to. So it's like, oh, do I pay the money? So I think those are ones I would avoid. And do you have any other things that are hard to suggest, like mechanically, in that sense?
Not
Or do you
particularly.
agree with that?
Yeah,
rather?
I'm kind of alright with that too. I can't really think of anything that, it's again, when it comes down to it, all games have their flaws and all games have
Strengths.
their strengths. So it's a matter, and the thing too is that all games are not meant for all people. So
Yes.
that's just the biggest thing too, because this goes back to what you were saying about Pac-Man, or what you were saying about 2D pixel stuff. Like if you throw a modern youngster into Pac-Man, they're probably going to be bored within the first 5 seconds, really. So, as opposed to throwing them into like Minecraft or something else that they play these days, which
It's also interesting because I know people who are like, Minecraft, they didn't have enough graphics.
yeah, that's another topic.
I'll briefly add on to the games that I didn't talk about. I won't get into them, but you'll know that I would have recommended them. Mario Odyssey, Mario Maker 2, actually, I would have said. Donkey Kong Country, Stardew Valley. Even though I haven't played that, I mean, you got into it, so any Pokemon. And I was trying to preface this earlier. Portal, particularly maybe Portal 2 with the multiplayer. Tetris, Carl talked about that too. RPG Maker games. If you're a weirdo, you could do Yume Nikki for your first game ever. Super Mario Brothers X, which is basically a free-to-play Mario Maker, and then rhythm games. Those are what I would also say. Any other ones you didn't get into that you just want to name drop?
Yeah, the only one I can actually really throw down as far as a game to get people into video games, and I think it's a really interesting. It's really interesting, I think, in the sense because I could be 100% wrong. I haven't really, my knowledge is only so limited, but to this day, I still don't know of a true. I guess clone would be the best way of kind of putting it, but if you're looking for a game then you want story as a substance more than anything in it. I really think, and this is why it still sits in the top, basically the top 5. But Grim Fandango, I think it's a very easy game to get to, and especially the remastered edition because that has point and click functionality. So all you have to do is point the mouse to where you want to go and just hold it down, and it just shows the 3 actions that you can do. And I think that it's a simple enough game to control, but has enough substance in it to really entice people to enjoy the story of it. And like I said, it's the kind of story that I just don't feel like people have really kind of tried to replicate well out of anything else. So what it really also kind of provides too is the uniqueness and understanding of that video games can stand out over like TV and stuff, which is something that I guess didn't really get talked about, but I know we got to start wrapping up here. We'll just kind of tie into it, but I do know people that are like, why bother with video games when I can just do TV? So, and the thing I wanted to kind of just touch on is that there's a lot of perspective when you are controlling the character to do
immersion.
Stuff. Yeah, immersion. Thank you. That's
I think that's the thing that video games beats out on, like an immersive experience,
and
where you are the character.
And even though Grim Fandango is basically just point the character and watch what happens, which is more or less kind of on the same regards as watching TV, you still have to kind of get to that point. You still have to think and work to that point. So I think that's where it kind of, definitely beats out.
And slowly you start to relate to Manny. He's just a well-to-do, or not well-to-do, he's just kind of a hardworking guy. He just wants things to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people can just relate to that. That's the most relatable thing ever, to have things work.
Yeah.
So, and also real quick, just because you mentioned Rust and Atmosphere, I would also say Journey. Okay.
I was going to say that, but I still haven't played Journey, so I can't.
So I'll say I played Journey. Journey is a really good experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your question to the audience? Then?
Yeah. So now I'd be curious to see really this is kind of a question in two parts, I think, for me, unless you want to steal the other half of the question. But
No, go ahead. You can just say both. I have two questions.
My question is based on or not based on the categories, and really if you have your own categories, what would be the categories that you would kind of define as video games? Like I feel there's 3 categories I listed. Are there more categories to that? And then the more honest question would be what would be your games that you would just suggest to people to kind of get them into video games yourselves? Or no, I'll leave that one to you because I feel like that one's going to be good for you.
Oh. Well, actually, mine is different. Mine is, what was your first game? What was your first game ever? We've talked about this also on the topics, but like, some people have a weird one and then they got into video games. So I think that's also a fun way to be like, well, sure, your first game was Silent Hill.
That's a strange start.
I had a strange, like, that wasn't my first one, but like I played that way too young.
We're gonna have a contest here for weirdest first game to start with. Whoever. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was Gex 2.
I like
That's
Gex too.
It's Troy is like, I'm Gex. So, if you have any other topics you'd like us to try out or input, leave it in the comments below, or check out our email. Please don't watch this. Please don't email this podcast at gmail.com. We don't have any emails this week, but we do have some comments regarding to Farming Sims. What's your favorite? Tom, more infoistic, says Vampire Survivors. I'll give it to him just because he had a bunch of counters. Ice Climber said Plantera DX, and I don't know if Lime Green said one, but he suggested Summer in Mara. I'm familiar with that one. I haven't played it, obviously, but those are our comments. Mm-hmm. So, what will you be doing from here on?
Right now, it's going to be literally working on the the stream for tomorrow. The stream that happened 3 days ago. I mean.
Or you know what? I'm gonna miss time uploading this then. Just to mess with the continuity.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah. Anything else stream wise though? Because you've been doing. You didn't even mention the summer games, did you?
Yes.
So you mentioned Pokemon.
So right now on the Carl 101 show, we're tripling down. We're doing an hour of game each throughout 3 hours. I've been doing Super Mario Sunshine in the first hour, and then switching over to the Wind Waker in the second hour, and then the final hour ends up being the legendary now Pokemon Soul Silver Nuzlocke randomizer that I'm going to succeed at. It's going to happen. I am going to succeed at it.
I'm going to contest with that and say you will succeed with it, but will it be with Jim? You'll have to find out first. We don't even know.
Watch Jim be dead by the time this goes up.
Yeah. After Monday or whatever. It's like, oops, I didn't know at new magnitude. So Jim is Electabuzz, by the way. Yeah. That we kind of just passively found, and then he got team wiped.
No.
And then Jim survived.
So Jim was the 7th Pokemon I caught. The other 6 got team wiped in a very odd fashion, too. You know what? Go watch the video. Go watch the VODs.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with Nuzlocke, it's you. If a Pokemon faints, you can't use it anymore. Yeah. In short, there's other mechanics as well, like how many can you catch and stuff.
Yeah.
But, and well, I guess I'll talk about what I'm doing. I think I'm going to project this to July 29th. I talked about it last podcast. I sent up a little peek. July 29th is when I'm probably going to be doing table tennis. Revengeance. I keep saying tabletop, dude. I had a stream a good while ago, like maybe a year ago, where it's like I got stuck on Lucia, the champion of the Wii Sports Resort table tennis thing, and I beat her like in the past. I can't do it now, but hopefully when I do it on the 29th, I'll be able to do it. So I'm gonna tussle with the muscles.
It's gonna be the first game. I'm calling it.
I hope that would be embarrassing because I'm planning all the story elements and stuff. Okay, so I think that'll be it. Where can people find you, Carl?
Twitch.tv/Carl101. Patreon is Carl101. Instagram, I upload a lot of the stuff. It hasn't been too much stuff lately, but a lot of just like what's going on in my casual life when I'm not on the big
Casual.
screen, and you would know.
I know. That's how you said it.
But my handle there is Carl101. Twitter, you can get all the updates and information at Carl101 for that one. And of course the YouTube channel that you're watching right now, as well as the VODs channel, Carl101 VODs. You can go and watch all my past stream moments right on that channel as well. But yeah.
Oh, I need to link that then, because I don't think it's in the.
Wow. Wow.
Well, hey, it's not on your channel.
Wow.
You wow me. It's not linked on your channel at all.
Really?
No, it hasn't been.
While you say where we can find you at, I'm gonna go check right now.
I posted it. Boom. Get roasted. You can find me on Twitter at FlameCannon3. 3. You can find me on Twitch, SpeedSlasher. Sometimes on Fridays on Brightheart2324. I have a Tumblr, FlameCannon3. Oh, you got owned. You saw it now. Boom. I've been telling you about that too. And then it won't be the case after you guys see this on the thing, but it hasn't been for a while. And that's basically where you can find me. You'd also find me at the bodega.
The what?
Eating chips. You can catch me on my front porch. Okay. Well, I think we talked a fair amount on the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed today's session.
A little longer than usual, but lots of stuff to talk. Lots of stuff that we really got into.
Yeah. So, with that, I was the co-host, toast, Speed Slasher. That was the ghost with the most, Carl101. And thanks for watching.
You didn't make a Post Malone reference after saying ghost. I'm disappointed in you. Bye, everybody.
Ghost Malone. Bye. I'm a failure.